Hey everybody, welcome back to Christian Penguin 1990. My name is Matthew. We're continuing with Why Pray today on day 11. It is entitled, Who is First, He or I? They asked me to be their church growth consultant. As pastors of a large suburban church, they had recently returned from a church growth seminar and had designed an exceptional organizational plan for their church. They thought I could help them implement it and asked if I'd be interested in a 1-year contract. I listened to the three pastors for longer than 2.5 hours as they explained the organizational plan. When they completed the presentation, the walls were covered with flow charts and boxes. I observed that the plan was very impressive, and I had no doubt they would fill their large auditorium several times each Sunday if they followed the plan carefully. But, I said, I don't see the gas tank. What do you mean? They asked. What makes this flow chart Christian? You could use the same thing to sell fast food or life insurance. I have listened to you for more than 2 hours, but I have not heard a word about prayer. Where does prayer fit in? They assured me they intended to bathe it all in prayer, and I responded skeptically, that sounds like little more than good intentions, unless prayer is at the center from which all this flows. Bathing it in prayer is little more than asking God to bless your program to show the world how smart you are. I said I was not interested in helping to implement the organizational plan. I did, however, make a proposal. Since my devotional life was in pretty rough shape and I had no one to hold me accountable, I offered to meet with them monthly to pray for 4 hours. One of the pastors got tears in his eyes as God convicted him. Quietly and firmly, the three replied, You have a deal. They volunteered to set aside the flow chart and let God have full reign in their lives. What happened over the next 4 years is virtually impossible to chart. But we all agreed that if ever the truth of Ephesians 3:20 was illustrated, it was demonstrated both in our personal lives and in our ministries. God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. We set aside our ministry and personal agendas and ask God to reach deep into our hearts and lead us into His ministry. Within a month, one of the pastors accepted a call to the local pregnancy resource center and left the church. What was this? I thought. I wanted to show how marvelously God would work in that church, and the first thing he did was take a pastor away. The two other pastors stayed, but all four of us kept meeting for prayer, and God started His work deep in our lives. Various aspects of our marriages were touched and healed. Our pasts were dealt with, our devotional lives were deepened, one pastor's teaching took on new perspective. The other pastor's stomach problems disappeared as he rejoiced in not having to carry God's load but to just be himself. The Pregnancy Resource Ministry struggled a while and then exploded nationally and internationally. God led Mission India into a whole new emphasis on prayer, out of which this book was born. The pastor's church grew to be far more vital than it could have been under a man-made growth plan. All of this reminds me of what a pastor said to me after I gave a message on prayer according to the pattern of the Lord's Prayer. I stressed that we should start as Jesus does, praying first that God's name be hallowed and that people discover how great He is through His revealing names. The pastor remarked that during the first year of his pastorate, his prayer life had been powerful, but that during the past 19 years, it had been impotent. He decided as he was listening, the difference was that during the first year he had prayed for God's name to be glorified, but in the past 19 he had prayed that God would bless his programs. Perhaps in no other age has marriage been under such attack as it is today. All our counseling seems to do little to stop the fighting and marital breakup, so common both within and outside of the church. A friend of mine counsels those who come to him wanting a divorce to spend as much time in prayer for the repair of their marriage as they spent in fighting to destroy the marriage. More than ever, we need to be praying for families, for our own and for others in the church. In praying for our homes, we need to start where Christ started in the Lord's Prayer. We are constantly prone to pray for solutions to family problems that can seem so hopeless. But consider instead, we should lift our eyes to the Father and pray that His name be glorified, His kingdom come, and His will be done in our families in whatever way He sees fit. Praying can become so dusty dry and boring when all we do is concentrate on our problems. We must rather concentrate on God's name, kingdom, and will, affirming that He will work toward those great goals and all the family changes we might face. You'll be amazed at what will happen. God's will is going to be done, and hope will come. Okay, the discussion for this one, for you to discuss amongst yourselves and your family, or even at your church if you want to, if you're watching these as a church. When is it wrong to pray for the success of a church or mission organization? To meditate on. To begin with prayer means that our first longing is to hallow God's name and ask that His will be done. Okay. Sorry. The last bit of this cold is about to go away, hopefully. I've been getting better. Okay. So for the discussion, when is it wrong to pray for the success of a church or a mission organization? I would have to say it's wrong when you come up with all these plans and you want to do it your way and not God's way, and then you say, God bless what I've done, so that they'll know how smart I am, just like it said. And then that is saying that, well, that wasn't God's will, that was your will. So you're trying to get glory for yourself and not God. You're trying to make yourself seem better, not bring glory to God. That is when it would be wrong, in my opinion. But like I said, go ahead and discuss it amongst yourselves, your family members, church members, if maybe you're watching this at church, which would be great. I hope you are. My apologies. And yeah, just discuss it and see what you come up with and think about it and pray about it. But that's it for this one. We'll go with day 12 next time. And I will see you guys later, and hopefully God will bless your week, your lives, and you'll continue to be happy in everything you do, and you'll always be safe. God bless, and I'll see you next time.